Because of you. We're late because
There you go. All right. All right. We are Lizzie Lizard. All right, ladies and gentlemen. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? This is your man Orlando Presents. What's good, y'all? I'm back. It feels good to be back. Man, I had to interrupt all this shenanigans between the catses and all this, conversation with the cats and stuff. They done, took off and flew off without me. But it's all good though. It's all love. It's all love.
We
You see
left
what
the nest. We left the nest.
you see what happens when you get sick. Your family and partners just pack up and don't give you the new address.
no, it's not true.
We're not in North Carolina anymore.
It's
Oh my goodness. But but yeah, bless you over there. But yeah, so appreciate it. I'm back. I may not sound all that great, but hey, all in God's timing. He's gonna take care of it and clear it all up. So man, tell me what I've missed, y'all.
I don't know. When was the last time you took a nap?
Last time I took a nap, that was earlier today. So what did I,
So in that time frame,
you know I get the naps in. Come on now. I'm an old man. I gotta get the naps in.
so yeah, we got a little power nap in today. So we did the same thing.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, Penny's here going crazy still. So
I saw y'all last your last show and everything. So kudos to y'all on the last show. Salute to y'all on that.
yeah, the one that was just we didn't have any guests on. It was just literally a conversation with us. So
Yeah, and I saw the show as well when you had the gentleman on there about the disability.
mhm.
So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that show
yeah,
as well. That was
yeah,
a real good show.
yeah. Shout out to
Yeah.
Ted Legal. Yeah, he's going to be doing a program similar to this sometime next month, starting doing I'm disability strong. Are you?
Okay.
Something like that. I don't remember the exact title. I apologize to him if I got it wrong. But we're going to be doing mixing basically disability topics, how life with a disability, and and faith. So, me being the networking professional that I am, I already got 3 people lined up.
All right.
The
There you
show's not
go.
even like written out yet and what he's going to do yet, but he's looking at launching it in March. I got
Okay.
I got
Okay.
I got 3 guests, and then actually we have a guest that might be on. I don't know this. I don't know what we're gonna do this Monday. We might interview you. I don't know.
Hmm.
But yeah,
There you go.
but a guy we
Hmm.
went to college with,
Hmm.
known him Mike for 23 years.
yeah.
Um, so he's in the faith, and we're gonna have a conversation with him at some point. So we got some people lined up for that.
Okay. There you go. Now you got to get back to work and start getting some folks lined up for quakeradio.com live because I'm back, baby.
Yeah, we can hook that up.
We just got to figure out the different times since y'all snatched my Monday night time slot and everything.
Well, so we may switch that. I may switch it to 7, um, so we get to 7 to 8.
It's all right. I go live on the station and y'all go live on the video, so it's all good.
It confuse folks. Well, I watch both.
Hey, I mean, they could watch one live and watch the other one recording. It's all good as long as we're putting the message out there, right?
Yeah.
Shoot. Um, yeah, I just got to give a shout out to y'all, man. Give a shout out to my mom. Give a shout out to Robin Kelly and her family. Um, man, it's been a weird and strange couple of weeks, actually. It feels like longer than that, really, with everything going on and stuff. Just a lot that God has been revealing to me, and God has been actually clearing my senses on a lot of things, especially since I've been going through this. And And then also not only going through this, but for far as a lot of people out there that don't know, which a lot of people don't know, I'm going through another move again. Yes, another house I'm in is being sold again. So for those of you out there that can buy your own home, put that on your your top checklist. Purchase home, stop renting. So unless you're renting like an apartment or something like that, you could probably stay there for however so long. But houses, you never know when the person is gonna just change their mind or start, feeling like, well, I'm tired of renting. I want to just go ahead and sell it or whatever. So, and that's that on that. So I really can't say too much on that because hey, it's their property. They can do what they want with it. At the end of the day, a lot of people really don't care how it puts you out as long as they get their money and they don't have to be bothered with it anymore. So, but yeah, it just woke me up to realize that I really have to get myself together, and I really have to start being steadfast on not concerning myself with things that I can't concern myself with. Like the show that we had, I believe last month with Sam Purpose, let go and let God. And it lines up with not only let go and let God, but I believe it also lines up with, are you hearing the voice of God? Are you actually hearing the voice of God when you're making certain decisions or when you're making certain moves? Is it the voice of God, or is it your voice that you're hearing because it's something that you really want to do and you're confusing it with the Holy Spirit? I've been watching a lot of videos. I've been sharing videos with Jason and Judy and stuff. Been watching a lot of different sermons and everything. And a lot of these sermons have really been speaking to me, have been certain parts of it have been jumping out at the page, like the one I shared of TD Jakes today. He said something in that video that it felt like God was speaking to me at that time when he said it. He said, he was preaching and he said that God told him, he was like, I don't know who this is for, but it may be for somebody that's in the room here. It may be for somebody that's listening. It may be for somebody that is looking on the video or whatever. But but he said that God told him, I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen next, so stop asking. And that's something that I've been struggling with for a while. And y'all know that. And that's where the show Let Go and Let God came from. And when he said that, I was like, wow. I said, okay, God, I'm going to stop asking. I said, because I know that was directed straight at me. He was like, allow me to do what I need to do in your life, regardless if it's something that you wanted or something that you think you didn't want, but it's something that I know you need. It's just like that's the reason why I made the post earlier today. God, I want to need you, not because I need you. You know what I'm saying?
And read that again. I read it again. I'm like, oh, the second time is when it caught.
And a lot of people, they don't want to admit it. And I think that's something about the body of Christ as well. When we look at accountability, how much accountability do we actually want to have? How much do we actually want our brothers and sisters to not so much point the finger, but to guide us in loving correction? And I emphasize the word loving, because a lot of people want to correct you, but correct you while they're browbeating you. And at the same time, they're going through whatever they're going through in their own life, but yet they want to act like they have it so together. And they forgot about that scripture, which is one of the easiest scriptures. You know, how can you say something to your brother when you had the plank in your eye about taking the toothpick out of theirs? You know, a lot of people forget about that. But when we're always, and that's one thing about Christianity and about following the faith, it's always screamed about accountability. Oh, keep me accountable. Oh, bro, keep me accountable. But as soon as you're going through something and that brother or sister of faith tries to keep you accountable, what do you usually end up getting? An attitude or backlash. But a lot of times we have those attitudes or backlash because we know, even if the person said it in love to us, we know we're doing wrong. We know we're not walking correct. So when it's pointed out to us, it's almost like it's magnified, even bigger, because you know in your heart of hearts, you're not correct yourself. And this person, and you may be upset because you know that other person is going through whatever they're going through. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what they're going through, because if God sent somebody to help you be accountable, regardless of whatever they're going through, God spoke through that person to speak to you. Are you going to receive it or not? Or are you going to just push it away because the negative spiritual side within you is telling you in your head, oh, that person's going through this. Who are they to tell me whatever? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, go ahead.
It's also, though, you gotta make sure that God's the one that sent them to say something to you.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. T.D. Jakes, we listened to a sermon several weeks ago. I was listening to a sermon, and I'm like, and he was talking about raising kids, and I'm like, yeah. And then he said something else, and I'm like, okay, now you're playing in my backyard. And you know, in a case like that, but sometimes we have to be a little careful. I use the word discernment carefully because we kind of learned in church last Sunday that discernment is still judgment. But it's one of those things where if someone's going through something, and you know they're going through something, and they say something, that might be God sending them to you to say something, but it also might be them trying to project what they're going through onto you.
Oh yeah.
So you kind of got to be careful.
Yeah. But it's just like with the let go and let God thing, is just like what Priscilla Schreier said in one of her videos and stuff. When you're listening to something like that, or you're listening to trying to hear the word of God, and you're listening to that, you have to make sure that it's lining up with the word. You know, you got to line it up with, you know, this is God speaking because you know God's voice. And that was a major thing for me as well, because it's like, okay, how many of us are truly listening to and recognize God's voice when he's speaking to us? Because if we did, a lot of times we wouldn't get fooled on certain things, or we wouldn't go down a certain path if we absolutely knew that was the voice of God speaking to us. And when I say we, I'm primarily, anytime that I speak, I'm primarily speaking to myself, and two, I'm speaking from experience of what I've gone through. And this is not so much saying that to y'all, but that's saying it to anybody that's listening, because they may listen and be like, oh, why do these Christians always think they're so perfect? No, by no means By no means have I ever and ever will say that I'm perfect, because I know what I've gone through, and I know what I've been through, and I know what I'm probably going to continue to go through, because it's a daily fight and it's a daily struggle.
Mhm.
But the number one thing is, I'm starting to realize and understand now, even more and more and more, is that you don't have to do it by yourself. And that was the one thing that I know I struggled with for a long time, is actually accepting help from others, or actually even wanting to ask for assistance. I'm gonna tell you, and I don't, y'all don't even know, but when I was out with COVID, and I'm going to the church that I'm going to now and everything. Y'all know that, the Church of Nazarene up here in town and stuff. And when I was out with COVID, the person that usually picks me up and everything, he was telling me, hey, because I was letting him know that I had COVID, and he may want to get himself checked or whatever and stuff, because because we were sharing in the same car together. So just trying to be watchful and make sure that he's not getting sick or anything. And one of the pastors at the church, gave me their card and stuff. And it was like, well, if you need anything, don't hesitate. Give me a call us and stuff like that. And, we will do something to help you out. So I'm sitting here about getting ready to be on low on like water, low on food and stuff like that or whatever. And I'm sitting there on the bed looking at the card thinking, I was like, well, nah, I'm not going to call. But then at the same time saying, well, nah, I'm not going to call, being upset that nobody in my area is checking on me or calling on me.
Mhm.
But then God was telling me in my head, it was like, well, you have somebody to contact. It's up to you to use that contact.
Mhm.
You're not overstepping your bounds. They want to help you. Allow them to help you. But a lot of folks feel like they're putting other people out, or they feel embarrassed to ask for help. And it was funny to me, because when I asked and everything, she was like, oh yeah, sure, great, fine. And then they brought the water and brought the food and the soup and stuff like that and everything, and I was like, wow, okay. And if I would have just kept sitting here, I would have been, one, upset about something that I had no right to be upset about, and two, God sent me, bless you, sent me a way out to help. But if you didn't take that way, whose fault is that?
Mhm.
It's just like with the old joke that people used to say about the boat,
Mhm.
you being in the water with the boat and stuff, you're drowning, and I sent you one boat, and you said, nah, God's gonna take care of me. And then he sent you another boat, nah, God's gonna take care of me. And the person drowns and dies. You're like, God, I thought dude, I sent you 2, 3 boats. You didn't take it.
Yep. Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, it's a joke or whatever, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
And we do that. A lot of us do that a lot. God sends you help, but it's not the help you wanted. So you push it away. Is that on my end that's squeaking?
No, it's my chair.
Oh, okay.
My the armrest and stuff squeaks. So.
It's
Okay.
amplified on his headphones, is what that is. Like, it wasn't
Okay.
that loud. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, because it sounded like, I thought it was coming from the
No, it's just her
Oh, they
chair.
come from the speakers or something.
The chair she has right now is a hoopty. It's a beater with a heater, but it doesn't have a heater. Yeah, it's
It's
missing.
got inner parts and
Yeah, it's missing.
merits parts.
Yeah, it's missing.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
Yes,
But-
like you were saying, there, like we're in a similar predicament. As you know, like we. Should I say the actual percentage? Or
Yeah.
okay. Like in the last week, 2 weeks, we've lost 80% of our income while we're out here. So now we're at that point where, we mentioned that at church last week, and the church is like, and the pastor's like, if you need it, because we have like 4 months worth of savings built up. He goes, let us know. He goes, you have all of our numbers? Not all. We have like 5 people's numbers. It's a church of like 12 people, so that's like half the church. He goes, reach out to us. We'll help you get that extended as long as you need it. If you need it longer, send us a grocery list. And I'm like, half a block down, not even half a block down from the church, there's a bunch of homeless that are living in a bus. I'm like, and we have money stored up. And why am I asking for money or food when there's people that are starving just down the street?
Mm-hmm.
But we can also use it because if we spend $500 a month on groceries, that's $500. That can go somewhere. But like I said, they're offering. Don't ruin their blessing. They're trying to help. He's offering because the church we were going to prior to here, when we first came to North Carolina, we would have been lost in the shuffle. We would have been one of the few or one of the many that nobody knows who we are, and we were just kind of fallen off and been desolate. Now we actually have. He's like, okay, now you go to these folks. He's put us with them. I sent you the boat to help you. Now accept. What I'm sending you. Gotcha. And it was hard to switch churches. I mean, we're in a town for a short time frame. Go to what's comfortable. This is going to be, let's keep it real, and the perspective out here said it's. And I apologize if anyone hears this because it might be offensive. But they always talk about black churches and white churches, and especially down here, that's pretty common. I mean, as you can tell, we're white folk. We walked into a small black church.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Stop, man. Come on now.
It's those rose-colored glasses. We look kind of.
I know I've been sick for a couple of weeks, but don't tell me that. Don't give me that type of shock.
Okay. But so we kind of stick out that way, and that's not very common. And the area we're in is also, it's just predominantly a black area as well. So we kind of go into a church like that. And he's like, I'm going to put you where you need to put you. I mean, there's a church that's predominantly white that's a block away. Not half a block, even closer. We went in there and it just didn't feel right. This is not the place we're supposed to be. And then we found, and then he's got us this other one. I'm like, this is where we're supposed to be. And it's about the level of faith that's there that we have. And he's like, this is why I brought you. Because in any of the churches, it's listening to where he tells you to go.
Right.
And we went there the first time to the other church, and I'm like, the second church we went to while we were here, and I'm like, this doesn't feel right. And now we're doing Bible study with this other church here on Wednesday nights.
Excuse me.
Kind of thing. We church on Sundays. It's like, and they enjoy us. I'm not sure why, but it's listening to where you guys are. And he's like, I sent you a boat, like you said. Here you go. And they're offering
Right.
not like we need it, but we don't need it. But he's like, here you go. Gotcha.
We feel a little bad.
Right.
We feel a little bit bad taking help because, I mean, we're not at that point yet.
Yeah, but I don't mean to interrupt and jump in, but it feels like the same thing on my end or whatever. But that's not your chair. Because every time I'm talking, I can hear it.
Okay.
I don't know if my voice is doing it or what, but it's like feedback.
I was gonna say I don't hear anything on our end. I mean, talking with you.
Yeah. All right. I'm just gonna have to deal with it.
As long as your head doesn't explode from the high pitched sound.
But yeah, it's but
Is it similar
it's
to
a little bit of, I don't know. It seems like a little, and this is primarily myself or whatever, but I looked at it as too much pride,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mhm.
because like they say, you're not gonna have too much put on you that God knows that you're not going to be able to handle. I know that's not scriptural per verbatim, but also God isn't just going to give you something that he knows you don't need. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like the help and everything is not just going to be offered to you if he knows that, oh well, they're fine, my kids are fine, I'm not just going to thrust something on them. So this is something that may be happening to prevent
Mhm.
down the road around the corner, something that we don't see.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Like even just like they said about listening, um, was it 3 years ago? I guess it's been, well, I guess it's coming up on 4 years now. So when we were told, Charlotte, North Carolina, you know, I'm like, okay. And then it was a clear not yet concept, and so we ended up buying the house in Galesburg there. So we bought that house for a purpose. And then, now we're being kind of slightly guided a different direction with that. And he's getting us some more here another direction here in Carolina. And I'm like, I'm confused. This isn't, what are you saying? You told us to do this and I did it. And now you're telling us to do something different. That's the path we have to take because that's the build we had to do. This, it's not my path. It's his path that he's taken me on. And this is where I'm supposed to follow. And the more obedient you are to following that path, the easier the walk is. And that's the hardest part is going, well, I want to go over there. There's a pretty tree over there. Well, yeah, he doesn't want you to go over there. He wants to go over here. And that's where you go. And it's hard to use. And the adversary will guide you over to that tree or that river or that whatever. It's hard. There's always that distraction, and it's not easy it's hard to discern those two voices sometimes. You, or three voices. You, as in yourself, God, and the adversary. It's hard to discern those sometimes because sometimes you think, "Oh yeah, that was all me." No. That was all God. And sometimes it's like that was all God. And no, that was the adversary.
Well, I said something the other day on the last Monday when I was talking about the bullying thing. About it was kind of like a parallel situation where I was on the other side with the coworker talking about, and I said, God said, "Remember when," and I realized that was not scriptural at all, because God doesn't remember our sins and doesn't bring them up in our past.
Amen.
The enemy does, but what God did was use it for good because He humbled me to the point, instead of coming at you like, you need to stop, you need to stop, you need to stop. He humbled me. The enemy said, remember when you were just doing the same thing? Remember when? Remember when? Trying to condemn. And it worked a little bit. I'm not going to lie. It worked a little bit. But it also humbled me to say, remember when you did that? Remember? Look how far God's brought you. And everybody can make mistakes. Everybody can make errors. The difference is you need to change, fix it. Not necessarily. I couldn't fix it on my own. I had to say God right on my tongue. And there are many times He's like, zip it, and I'm like, I'm going to say something. But I'm like, right on my tongue, Lord. God, right on my tongue, because I'm about ready to let loose. It's not going to be pretty. And it was to that point is why I removed myself from that situation, because that was about I mean, no one's gonna get physically hurt, mentally and emotionally. When I unloaded my mouth, quite possibly. But and that's kind of why I removed myself from that situation, because I knew it wasn't. I was at that anger point. I knew it wasn't going to be pretty.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things that, I misspoke when I said, God said, remember when? Remember when? God didn't say remember when. Enemy said, remember when? In condemnation. And God used it as conviction.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because that actually falls into what Jason was saying as well. We have three voices: ours, the enemy, and God's.
Mhm.
So when you remember when, you actually may have been hearing the adversary and God's voice at the exact same time, saying the exact same thing.
Mhm.
Because the adversary is saying, remember when, but at the same time, God is saying, yeah, remember when, but God is saying, remember when I pulled you out of what you're thinking about. It's
Mhm.
not the thing of God remembered it, because you're right. He does not remember it. Once we repent and pray on it, and he does not remember our sins, our faults. It's the enemy that continues to play it over and over again like a bad movie in our heads.
Mm-hmm.
We're the ones that need to, and that falls in line of trusting God as well, is to be able to, erase what we've done out of our head, or erase how we feel out of our head, so that we will hear the voice of God more plainly and clearly.
Mhm.
Because once we start hearing the voice of God more plainly and clearly, we as ourselves won't even speak to ourselves in a negative way.
Mhm.
That won't even happen anymore.
Mhm.
It may still happen, periodically or something like that, because we're not perfect, but it's going to start happening less and less and less. And that's one thing that, you know, I think about a lot of times, is that, that prideful nature within ourselves. That's one thing that a lot of us have to defeat,
Mhm.
is that pride
Mhm.
and that feeling of inadequacy, because I know I have that feeling a lot. And it's just like what you said on Judy, what you said on Monday night, when you were talking about how we treat ourselves. We're supposed to treat others like Christ treats the church, and like we treat our neighbors. But a lot of times we treat ourselves so bad, we wouldn't want to treat our neighbors that way.
Mhm.
And that hit me like a ton of bricks right there, because it's the truth. And it's the number one truth about when I'm thinking about myself, is like, wow, wow, that is so true. Because a lot of times we can't treat our neighbors as we treat ourselves, because we treat ourselves with so much doubt and so much despair
Mhm.
and so much, I'm not good enough for this, or I'm not good enough for that, or what are they going to say if I make another mistake that was maybe the same as the last mistake? Am I going to be condemned for this all over again with the other things that I've done? And that's why a lot of times I think a lot of people don't ask for help and don't ask for assistance with certain things, and they drag themselves down in the muck so much, because they may have, pardon me, they may have gone down this road before, and
Mhm.
they don't want to hear people say, oh, here you go again.
Hmm.
You know, those words can be the most detrimental words for a person to hear.
Hmm.
Here we go again, or there you go again. You didn't learn from the last time. You know, those words can really sting, especially if you're already feeling like, in the lack of a bad word, poop.
That's a clean bad word.
You know, especially when you're already feeling that way yourself. And that's the one thing too that I think people need to realize. A lot of times, most people put themselves down so much
Hmm.
and they feel like crap so much themselves. What you're saying is just compounding onto what they already think and feel about themselves.
Hmm. Well, just like, the whole thing about, um, like like at work, I'll have grace and mercy for other people, but when it comes to me, it's like I can control what I do, but I can't control what somebody else does.
Right.
So I have a higher standard, and my standard is perfection, which we all know is unobtainable. Um, and so it's not like I ever think I'm going to reach that. It's just it's something to reach toward.
Right.
Um, but I have a real hard time sometimes showing myself grace and mercy when it comes to things like that. Any mistakes I make. Um, but and then it's a lot of times something I've learned is throughout this lifetime is that when you're already feeling like poop about stuff because you're thinking to yourself, well, here we go again, you know, and you feel that about yourself. We often think that other people are thinking that as well. And
Sometimes we are, and I say it out loud.
yeah.
So I've
Well,
I've been there.
And it's not that maybe they are, maybe they're not. We talked about, and I don't know how scriptural this is, so please forgive me, guys, if I'm wrong. Genesis 32 and 33 with Jacob and
30,
Esau,
yeah, I think it's 32, 33. 32,
Um,
30.
where Jacob wrestled with God and wrenched his hip. God wrenched his hip. But anyway, and then he met Esau and he like bowed down and tried to. They had kind of mentioned in Bible study that he had kind of gone back to his old ways a little bit because
Right.
God had renamed him, and then in the thing he said Jacob met Esau. Sometimes when people from our past, how we used to be, they're not willing to see who you've become or who you've grown into or who you changed to. They only ever recognize and see who you used to be, and that's what they're looking for. They're looking for, oh, well, you screwed up in your finances again, I see, or you screwed up in this, I see, or I see that you're you still don't clean. This is not toward you. This is kind of things that have been said about me from other people, but not by you.
Oh.
See, you haven't cleaned it. You still don't keep your house very clean. That kind of picked up, and it's kind of messy. And that's what they see, but they don't see that they didn't see the house before when we had boxes stacked upon boxes along the wall, looking like a hoarder house. We got rid of 2/3 of our stuff. You know what I mean? They didn't see that. They didn't see, that I do have my finances I do have finances in order. And don't get me wrong, when I walked out of my job, I'm like, dang, you just threw away that, God bless you with that, and you just threw it away. And it's like, good job, kind of thing. But I know that in the I know that in the long run it was supposed to happen. But like you said, I don't know what's next. And when you said you stop asking, yeah, yep, that message is for me too. I missed it when TD Jake said it, but I heard it when you said it. You need to stop asking, because it's like I want the next 3 or 4 steps in a row. And he's like, nope.
And he lights up 3 inches in front of you. You want 3 feet.
Yeah.
He's like, there you go. You can take that step. 3
Or
inches.
it always brings me back to the dream I had a year or so ago, when I probably about a year and a half now, where Jason dropped me off in this there's these 4 corners and they all have stop signs, and he drops me off in the middle, and every corner has a light, so it's that area lit. But you can't see down any of the streets. It all goes into darkness. And he's like, no, go to work. And I said, where? He's like, you'll know, like, no, I don't know. Like, go to work. And I'm like, I don't, where, which direction? He's like, I'm like, no, I don't. And that's kind of where I feel like I'm at right now, is like, I'm in God's presence because I'm in the light, but I don't know which road to go down.
And then by work, sometimes we put work as in
Your job.
our job and our employment, when it could be
right.
It's weird.
ministries. I know this is definitely something that we're supposed to do more of. Like I said, as you and I both, or all of us, there's no way we'd have thought a year ago that we'd be doing a video show on a regular, and then doing extra shows, and kind of looking forward to doing those shows on a regular, like this. He's like, this is what you're supposed to do. This is what we're supposed to do. And he tried to tell us before. I mean, I obviously spoke to you about it, but I know he told me that we're supposed to use this platform and this perspective. And I'm like, I don't know what work I'm. Oh, well, now I know we're supposed to, because it's very powerful.
Yeah.
And it works. This is what he's telling us to do. We're the light in the darkness. And when you enter your presence, wherever you go, like you said with that light, wherever you go, the light will follow you. He will follow you with that. Wherever you go, he's with you. Like example I use at our apartment here, there's a dog park, and they have there's a light out there during the daylight, and this light is on all the time. It's, in the daylight you can't see it. I mean, you can see it's on, but it doesn't do anything because the sun's out. No, but at night it lights up the whole area. But only light can disperse that darkness. But it's also that thing. If you're only around light, you're not as noticeable, and it's comfortable. It's light, cool. But if you're in an area that's dark and you're that light, now they see you, which is a target. But it's also now they want to be like that, and people want to,
they either want to be like you, or they want
to extinguish you. You're always but if you always have his light with you.
Because he kind of always showed me that where I had been working, that it was dark, and that they just wanted to extinguish the light. They wanted, because I eliminated their
the dark spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
I mean, because it's yeah, because it's a lot of the same thing that I went through with my previous job. I know sometimes that we sat down and we spoke about, so has God ever gave you a sign, that you're supposed to move away from where you are and stuff like that? And moving away from here, no. But God has given me signs before that I was supposed to leave the job that I was at before, the cleaning company. And I ignored it because I was comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I was comfortable at the job, hey, go to work, do what I got to do, go home. Even when I was working 2 jobs, I was comfortable doing that. Go to one job, leave that job, go directly to the other job, don't get home till nightfall. And I was comfortable with that. Ended up losing one of the jobs. Then I just had the one job. And God is still basically nudging me, telling me, no, you need to leave. And I was supposed to start the cleaning company years ago,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't listen. But when I did do it, or when I finally, it wasn't a thing of me listening. It was a thing of he pretty much forced me out, pushed me out.
Mm-hmm.
Situation happened that I had no recourse, but I was fired. I had to get out. So it was like, okay, now what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So, and that's what end up happening. But that just makes you think. Maybe I have the mic too close. Can y'all still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. But that's the thing that I think about, is that a lot of times we don't listen to what God is telling us to do,
Mm-hmm.
and we're being forced out of a situation when we should have just listened to him from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, that comes down to pride. That comes down to, oh, but I don't know how XYZ is going to happen if I'm not here. Not trusting God fully to take care of us. You know what I'm saying? So that happens more times than not. We sometimes we feel like, oh man, I got all the trust in the world. I trust you, God. I love you, God. And then when God tells you, okay, you love me, yes, I trust you, yes, leave that job. No, what? But I thought you trusted me. I thought you loved me. I do, but
There's a
that's when we
string.
start that's when we start trying to reason, and we start trying to reason with God, and God's like, dude, do you not know I know, and you're trying to reason with me? I'm speaking for myself, but I know it does line up a lot with you, Judy. But I am speaking about myself though. But it's a situation of, we sit back and we put unnecessary stress on ourselves when we don't need to, because it's not a thing that we don't love God, and it's not the thing that we don't trust God. God knows we do, but it is a thing of it is a thing of you know the uncertainty, that uncertainty, that little bit of, and that's why they say faith as a mustard seed, because that tiny bit of uncertainty flips a whole lot around.
Yeah.
Well, and it's weird because you say that because, it's like I trust God 100%. I trust Him with His will. I don't trust that I'm hearing Him speak. I'm not trusting that I'm not hearing me speak. And I'm not trusting whether I'm hearing the devil speak.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my unsteadiness comes in. If I knew 100% it was God speaking, I would have no problem listening. But when I don't know, if it's the uncertainty, I want to know is, okay, well, is that me? Is that God, or is that the enemy trying to just take me down the wrong way?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I struggle, and that's where my faith wavers. But like, when I got home after walking out, I was like, I got out to the bus and I'm like, Lord, what did I do?
Mm-hmm.
What did I do? And He's like, I've got you. And I said, okay. And then and I prayed even when I got home. I'm like, Lord, did I do the right thing? I'm still questioning. Even when He said He's got me, I said, I'm still questioning, did I do the right thing? Did I act impulsively? Did I do the right thing? Did I do the wrong thing? And I said, you told me I was supposed to. I'm on assignment for a job assignment, but I'm also on assignment, and I didn't complete what you said I was supposed to complete. And he's, and he's like, they didn't know your worth or your value.
Yeah.
So it's almost like he pulled me out of the game because I was going to be ineffective. And it wasn't based on anything that I had done. And I'm not arrogant enough to think that I could have done something different and maybe changed some things. So please don't anybody misunderstand what I'm saying. Because I easily could, anytime you have an interaction with another human being, there's two sides. So, and I'm not claiming perfection in any way, shape, or form. Okay. I'm not going to fall on my sword either, but there's things that I could have done differently, and I'm working to fix those things that I could have done differently. One thing I know that, anyway, this is a little more therapy than I want to get into. One thing that
I'll be back.
one thing was that I could have done differently was I have a standard, and I don't gossip, so I was kind of like, I don't want them to gossip either. Well, that's not my place. That's not my call. To make someone, that's between them and God. That's not, I don't enter in that equation in that way whatsoever. Now, I don't want to be around it because it would infect me. And I know how that, my flesh loves the gossip and find out about different people and what other people think of other people. My flesh loves that. I have to literally leave because otherwise it gets inside me, and then I start gossiping. Then I start doing that too. And I know what happens on the other side of that.
I don't know.
But anyway, now I may not know where my next step is or what direction I'm supposed to go. But Jason and Jason's not struggling. I am struggling. I'll sit there and it's like I've got a book to write. I already know that. I've got these things to do, and I just sit there frozen. And I just am like,
so the other day, let it go.
Yeah.
Sure.
So the other day I just kind of sat there and it's like, okay, sister, what's going on? Why are you sitting here frozen? It's like, why are you afraid to do anything? What are you frozen for? And it came down to, ultimately it came down to deserve level. It's like, I don't deserve that much success. Look at what I screwed up over here, or screwed up over there, and things like that.
Yeah, so you gotta stop, as they say, stop naming it and claiming it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I did that in the past. Yes, that was the past. Can you fix it?
Mm-hmm.
No. Move forward. If you ran over a hurdle while you're doing hurdles on track and field, you jump over that hurdle, you trip over it. Do you go back and put that hurdle back up and try to jump over it again? You continue running forward. Or like a video I saw today, there was in track and field, a girl was running. She fell down, and then she ran back and caught up with everybody, ran all the way around one more lap, and the lap caught everybody and won the race. Just because you fall down, you don't go, I'm done. You get back up and keep going. You can't go back and fix what happened in the past.
Well, but I understand that.
So,
but it's also moving
Yeah.
into an area
That's not
like I said, uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I've never done this before.
Now, is it an area of uncertainty, or is it because this is more and more? A lot of us are on the same sense of this, but is it an area of uncertainty, or is it an area of you don't have the control that you thought you had?
Yeah, well, it's an area of I've never done it before, so I don't know really even where to start. And
from the beginning.
Yeah. Easy for you to say.
It's always good when someone else says that besides me. She might listen if you say that.
And and he didn't even tell me to say that either. So yeah, from
And
the
if I
beginning.
say it, she's like, no.
I mean, honestly, if you have a lot of different stuff on your plate, that you want to take care of, you have to take care of one thing little by little. Block out some time and say, okay, between this time and this time, I'm gonna start on the book. I'm gonna get to this far with working on the book between this time and this time. After I'm done with that, I'm gonna start on this other thing that I need to do from this time to this time. Start sectioning out your schedule. Start sectioning out your time. Get up just like, well, maybe don't do it on third shift, but get up like you're going to work, like you would be going to work on a regular schedule, but block out your time of your day to take care of the things that you want to take care of, and write it down and keep a note of it and say, hey, today I need to work on this. Tomorrow I know I'm gonna need to work on this. Oh well, the next day I know I have a little bit more time to work on this, so I'm gonna block off a little bit of extra time to write a couple of more paragraphs in the book. At least you're tackling everything, but you're giving everything a structured, in its place, a structured time. So, I mean, if that helps or not, but since you do have the time right now, hey, that would be the best thing to do.
Clear the table.
He cleared my calendar.
Huh?
He cleared my calendar.
Yeah, and what not no. I say listening to God and seeing His plan. Like I was already setting myself up for in my mind that my assignment that I have currently ends in 4 weeks. Like, okay, well, in 4 weeks he's out of work. I got 4 weeks until my job ends, and we'll see where we go from there. And I guess, well, I was kind of going, I don't say down a path of not happiness. I wasn't like upset or sad. Just it's ending after 3 years. And then I get my lunch yesterday at work. Not yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. I'm lost what day it is. One of my supervisors goes, when you're done with your lunch, put yourself into what they call code for training, and meet with me in the Zoom room, and we'll have a discussion. I'm like, oh great, what did I do? I wasn't something wrong. I pissed somebody off. It's never getting called in the principal's office. It's not always bad. And I'm like, I don't know. And she goes, we're just kind of taking a pulse right now, and seeing if you'd be willing to stay longer, like through April, on the same project. Yeah, so longer, an extra 4 weeks. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'd be interested. I mean, there's a whole different perkiness, because I thought it was ending, and he's like, I'm gonna give it no, because people are falling off, and they need to have X amount of people in there, and he's giving me the time to go. Here we go. I'm still providing. Even when you thought the end was here, I moved the finish line for you. Now you have a little bit more. Oh, but I was praying out like I'm done. I got to figure out the next step. In the words of like Zanti, guide my step. Just show me where I'm going. A couple hours later, there comes the thing, and we find out that I got possibly, not completely. Either way, I'm okay. And he showed me, are you going to be content with either one? Yes. If it ends in March, it ends in March. If it ends in April, it ends in April. Either way, I know he's got it. Either way, I know he's taking us where he's taking us. So I'm not concerned. But listening to that is the hard part, and understanding what he's saying, what he's doing, and where he's guiding. Just, I don't say, as I say, just shut up and listen, is what he tells me a lot. I'm talking, and then he's like, okay. And he's like, okay, now will you just shut up and listen to what I'm trying to tell you? I let you talk. I'm like, gotcha. So on that note, I'll shut up.
I mean, but you hit it right on the head, bro. I mean, that's 100%. 100% what it is like, shut up and listen and pay attention, and just like what TD Jake said, just be okay with not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Be okay with not knowing, yes, it is very hard to be okay with not knowing. Very hard. I say that with experience.
Amen.
It is very hard with not knowing at all, because it's like, wow, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna go on next? The only thing that you can do is work hard at preparing yourself for what's to come. You know what I'm saying? And that's not so much of storing away money and things of that nature. All that stuff is great and fine and great, fantastic. It is. But the number one thing is building the faith.
Mhm.
That's the number one goal, is building the faith towards whatever is going to happen next. Then that's what's going to happen next, because God forbid next month something can happen to wipe out your whole savings, or to wipe out my whole savings, or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But then it's like, okay, but you still have that faith and those prayers stored up, knowing that whatever is coming around that corner, that blind corner, you're still going to follow what God says to do.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
Knowing that he just follow where that light is guiding you.
yeah,
He's taking you there. Listen, follow, and just don't question
yeah.
it.
And that's what I'm saying. And and I know for anybody listening out there, and some people may be like, well, how do you do that? The number one question is, the number one thing is, how do you do that? You start with sermons. You start with reading your word. You start with listening to your word. You start with, interacting with your brothers and sisters that are within the faith, to build you up and to get you stronger, and to, reinsure that you're on the right path, that you're doing the right thing. Some people need that encouragement. Folks, a lot of people in this world, and I put Christians within this as well, but a lot of people want everybody to be the same way.
Mhm.
Just because you're strong in an area doesn't mean Jack, John, and Sue is going to be strong in that exact same area that you're strong in. That just means you're supposed to help them strengthen and to become strong, while you're building yourself and you're helping them, because everybody is not going to be the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're playing in my backyard now. That's exactly, you said it perfect. That's what I was trying to say before, when I said with my coworkers the things that I could change next time is exactly, I have a strength. It's like, why aren't you like this? Why do you do that? Why instead of doing this? And that's something I need to realize, that we're all uniquely and wonderfully made, and that my strengths are not someone else's strengths, but their strengths aren't my strengths either. Where they're strong, I might be weak, and where I'm strong, they might be weak, and that's okay. We complement one another. We're not supposed to be clones. We're supposed to complement one another so we can,
exactly.
Yeah.
function.
Well, that's kind of like, we're just the three of us. We all have our talents. I tell Judy all the time, you two have the compassion for folks. I used to have it. I lost it because I say the world chewed me up and spit me out, and I'm trying to rebuild it again. But you guys have that compassion for folks, which I have it, but not in a different way. You're able to exude it better verbally. I say it. It comes out more garbage-like.
He keeps telling me I have compassion for people. I don't see it.
Yeah.
Now, God might illuminate someone.
Take the compliment.
Illuminate someone like one of the homeless guys. Illuminated him to me one day. I saw his pit bull first, and I'm like, "Oh, cute pit. Is it nice?" And he's like, "Yep." So I go over and pet the pit, and I talked to the guy a little bit. And we went back and we bought him groceries every week. Brought them food. I thought it was just him and one other person. I didn't know there's so many people until the second week. Then we realized there were more people there.
And it is definitely a valley of the shadow of death in that place.
Yeah.
There's stuff that goes on there that's probably, yeah.
So anyway, but it's one of those things where he told me, it's like, as a church body, there's a church feeding them, giving them food. Okay. But a lot of times I think as Christians, we forget to feed their spirit. And I don't mean preaching to them, but literally just making sure that, we speak life into them. Because being homeless, I mean, no matter the situation, I mean, when I met him, he was smoking, I believe it was crack. Something, but
It was not a legal substance.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where he was doing that, and so he but people don't get there because they're healthy. People don't get there because they're well. People get there because a lot of times with alcohol and drugs, more times than not, it's either A, they tried it once and got hooked, or B, something traumatic's happened and they're just trying to forget it. They're trying to cover it up and they're trying to escape from it. So we forget that. We say, well, you could quit if you wanted to. So Joe Schmo quit. Why can't you quit? You know what I mean? And we forget to even talk to them and realize that they're a human being that has a story. We have a testimony of where Jesus brought us from, but they haven't even met Jesus yet. Or they met Jesus and didn't like what they saw.
The church.
Yeah.
Are they meant a different form of somebody else's Jesus? It was like, nah, that's not for me.
Yeah, and and so he downloaded something for me to write out, and I put it in his in the bag of food that we gave him. But basically he said, and it was the same words that God had talked to me when they said they didn't know the world doesn't know your value or know your worth. It's not what you drive, it's not where you live, it's not it's who you, basically the gist of it was, it's how you treat people in community. And that spoke more to my spirit, I think, probably than to his, because I spent the first 30 plus years of my life, probably 40 years of my life, looking down my nose at people that were in a position like that. It's like, well, you did something to get there, so it's your fault. Mm-hmm. And I never saw a person. I never talked to a person, but I have seen so many in just people watching. I've seen people that have so little give their last meal to somebody, their only meal to somebody, or split it with them. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, why would you do that? You still need to eat. Why would you do that? And God's showing me those things because he's trying to break my selfish spirit. And so he kind of said something, you guys are really nice and this, that, and, and all this stuff. And he's like, and he's like, you don't need to, you do this even though you don't need to, kind of thing. And I'm like, well, I remember what it was like to be hungry. And all those people that we used to help are nowhere to be found. And that's when we're losing our house and stuff like that. Where's where all that comes from. And it's like, God still made sure we had some food every day, It may not have been 3 meals a day or even 2 meals a day. It might have been one split over the entire day, But we still had food to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So had a roof over our head.
We still had a roof over our head. It wasn't the safest, but it was dry. and it was clean,
Most of the
you
time.
know, and most of the time, except when the pipes broke.
It wasn't dry.
But for the most part, and it was warm or cool. We had an air conditioner, and things like that. So I mean, and it was a lot of. This is funny. This is a lot of fun because the hallways, the condensation got on the hall floors, and with my power chair, I get going real fast, and then I stop real fast and turn sideways and slide. I did a pit maneuver. But anyway, it was one of those things that God kind of put on my heart that we don't just need to feed them with, food. We need to feed their spirits as well.
Yeah.
And talk life into them. Speak life into them. Because all those times I looked down my nose at someone, I always say you point a finger, you got 4 fingers pointing back at you. And that's what it felt like when we fell on hard times and when the through foreclosure went through the vehicle repossession. It felt like I remember all those words I used to say and all those thoughts I used to think, about how I used to think about other people. And I just realized that it's not okay, and he had to humble me that way, which I don't ever recommend. God says humble yourself. He really means humble yourself, or we'll do it for you. And it's not usually a pleasant experience. And so anyway, I think that's where you come with the thing that I have compassion for other people. Like today we went and did our grocery shopping, and I got halfway done. We were going to 3 places. We got 2 places out of the way, and I'm like, I can't people anymore. I gotta go home. I can't do this. I can't do people anymore. I can't people today. I don't have it in me. So when he says that, I kind of look at him like, what are you talking about?
Well, and what I mean is by the word, like you guys are good at wording it where it reaches people. I say it and it just comes out backwards, sideways, insulting in ways.
I can't speak for Orlando, but I can guarantee you that the words that come out of my mouth that reach people, it's all God.
Yeah.
All God.
Yeah. And I listen, that's something I'm working on. Listen, we all have our own talents and skills.
Yeah. Well,
I'm looking at our dog.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, just to let y'all know, this is the Real Gospel Talk with myself, Orlando Presents. We have Judy and Captain Jay. Man, we're about to wrap it up for this evening. Man, sometimes that hour flies by, boy. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well, it's been a while.
Flies by.
You had your voice the whole time. We appreciate it. God's blessed you with that. So you were wondering if you were going to do shows for a little bit, like, oh no, you can kind of burned out. God's like, hold on. You can appreciate the voice you do have. Okay.
Yep.
Voice you got to share.
We appreciate y'all's support. Thank you very much for listening in. Listen to the recording. We will be back very soon with another show for y'all. All right. Peace.